case you don't know, my name is Dov Barron. I'm the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com, and I write for Entrepreneur Magazine, Thrive Global, and a bunch of other great outlets. You can find me, of course, just by Googling DOVBARON. I'm all over the shop. And of course, we have a podcast that is the #1 podcast for Fortune 500 listeners. You can find that, of course, on iTunes at Dov Barron Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives. So that's there. Of course, we're on YouTube, as you probably know right now. We're on YouTube, Dov Barron Full Monty Leadership, where you can check out over now close to 400 videos, filling you with tips and insights and clarity and how to just be a greater leader. So all those great things are available to you. All you have to do is go tune in, and of course you can find most of all that and the connections to all of that on my main site, which is FullMontyLeadership.com. FullMontyLeadership.com, bringing you the very best in the essential leadership skills that will take you to the top and keep you there. All right, so welcome. Let's jump into today's show. I have the official beverage in hand, so we're ready to go. Do you have yours? All right, you're tuned in to Dov Barron Leadership Unscripted Show. Let's jump in. I'm going to take you back to a place that you can't possibly remember. I'm going to take you to a place it's impossible for you to remember, but it's the day you were born. Now, I don't know the circumstances of your birth. I have no idea. However, what I do know is this: somebody conceived you. And there came a particular point in time when you were ready to enter this world. You, by whatever means, were birthed. And on that particular day, there may have been good feelings from your mother and your father. There may have not been good feelings. People are born under all kinds of circumstances. But what I believe with all of my heart, with every ounce of my being, is that on the day you were born, someone, even if you don't know who it is, even if I don't know who it is, someone held you in their arms. You know, a baby just fits in the length of your arm, and you can sort of hold the head, and the feet are just at the crux of your elbow. Somebody held you in their arms and told you, or thought about you, about how you are a miracle. You are a miracle, born whole and complete, with nothing, absolutely nothing missing. Nothing could be missing. You were complete. You were miraculous. In fact, even if you were born with an appendage or something else missing, you were seen as whole and complete and totally amazing. Somebody saw you that way. Somebody looked at you that way. Somebody viewed you that way. And in that moment, it is my belief that in your own heart and your own soul, you felt, you knew that you were indeed complete. And then life happened to you. Circumstances, situations, parents, relatives, teachers, siblings, and a whole lot of other things that happen that have us start to think that maybe there's something missing, maybe there's something incomplete. And along with that, and that can become quite dominant. I mean, that can become like a force within us, like that dominant voice within us that says, you know, there's something wrong with me. There's something missing. I'm incomplete. What don't I get? And that kind of thing plays in our heads day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And it's reinforced by a media that tells you you're not quite pretty enough, you're not quite handsome enough, you're not quite tall enough, you're maybe too tall, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're not academic enough. There's things missing about you in some way, shape, or form. And so it becomes the loud noise inside of your head that somehow you're incomplete, that somehow something is missing. And if you only knew what it was, then you could become whole and become complete, and you would be okay, and you would get the memo that everybody else who you see all the time, you look at these people and you wonder, you know, how do they do it? How are they so amazing? How are they so miraculous? How are they so great? How are they so powerful, insightful, beautiful, wealthy? And I'm not. That's the kind of rhetoric we have inside of our heads. Because that little voice that was there on day one, that said you were whole and complete and missing nothing, has gotten drowned out by a society that needs you to be fearful. I mean, think about it. If you just imagine for a moment that you got up this morning and you went, wow, what a beautiful day. And you went out for a walk in a place maybe just like the one that I'm in right now, with all the beautiful water and the greenery, and you know, wherever you are, that it's just beautiful. Imagine that you woke up and you went out into that environment. Okay? Now imagine as you went out into that environment, you were feeling so at ease, so in a place, a state of grace and elegance and gratitude, and wow, you just felt like your life was so on track and you felt so peaceful. Can you imagine that? You're out walking in that, and maybe you're with somebody who loves you, who you love. Maybe it's a child, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's a friend. And you're just walking out in this beautiful place in nature. You've gotten up early to enjoy it. It's not too noisy yet. And you're just feeling so damn peaceful. And in that moment, I say to you, is anything missing out of your life? In this very moment, is there anything missing out of your life? And you'd say no. Now I say, if you look forward, is there something missing out of your life? Yeah, we're going to get a different answer. If we look back, we might get a different answer. But in that very moment of feeling that peace, in that moment of enjoying where you are, being totally present with you where you are, I ask you, is there anything missing in you or in anything you need in this moment? Your answer would be no. And then I whip out my phone and I show you the news. I show you NBC News, I show you Fox News, I show you CNN, I show you the news channels, the BBC, or whatever it is that is the news channel. And I say, now just do me a favor and watch that for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Just watch it for 10 minutes. Okay? And I get you to watch it for 10 minutes. At the end of that 10 minutes, we're in the same place. We're still standing in that beautiful place in nature where 10 minutes ago you were feeling peaceful, whole, complete, and grateful. And I say to you, how do you feel now after 10 minutes of that media? And you go, well, you know, maybe I'm thinking you might not have the same answer. And then I say to you, is there anything to be afraid of? I say to you, is there anything to be afraid of in this moment? Is there anything missing in you in this moment? Is there anything incomplete with you in the moment? And you would likely feel like there was. So what changed? You're still in a beautiful environment, you're still out in nature, you're still looking around at the trees, you're still feeling grateful for all the beautiful things that surround you. And yet, you're now feeling incomplete. You're now not feeling whole. You're now feeling like something is missing. What is that? What the heck happened? The only thing that changed was that I gave you the media input about the world that you live in versus the world that you were experiencing. So get that for a minute, okay? Let that sort of soak in. The only difference was that you went from experiencing this moment to, and the world that you live in the context of this moment, to being told what the world is. Now what I want you to do is to take that same analogy and put it back on yourself. You came into the world whole, complete, peaceful. I'm here. Nothing was missing. And then the media, in the context of you being born into the world, is the environment, is everything that surrounds you, tells you what's missing, tells you all the things that are incomplete in some way. And you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to compare yourself. You see, in that moment of walking in nature, you weren't comparing yourself to anybody else or anything else. In that moment of being born and feeling whole and complete, you're not comparing yourself to anything else or anyone else. You're just feeling whole and complete. So the distinction is that you were being compared to, or your environment was being compared to, or you were giving another perspective that was not contextual with who you are. You were born whole and complete. It never went away. It was always there. But I get it, it's gotten drowned out by the noise. It's gotten drowned out by the noise of the social conditioning, of the familial conditioning. It's gotten drowned out in every possible way. But here's what I want you to understand. That other voice that sits in the background has never gone away. The one that said you're whole, you're complete, you're magnificent. And I know you forget it. I forget it. I forget it all the time. I forget it about myself. I forget it about others. But I have to remind myself that that voice, the whole, the complete, that's the truth. That's the truth. Now you might go, well, this is a nice theory, Dove, but how do you know that? How do you actually know that? I know that because I've been desperate. I've talked about this on other shows where I have been depressed, darkly depressed. I've suffered with severe anxiety, severe depression, all those kinds of things. I went through a lot of that, particularly in my early 20s and early 30s. It was very difficult. And even in those darkest moments when I felt like I couldn't quite grasp anything that was better than the shitty things I was feeling at that time, I think that somewhere within me, somewhere within you, there was this sense of knowing there's something better. And I was asked recently on an interview about the depression part of my life, and I said, you know, there were definitely times when I seriously considered and contemplated suicide. I didn't make a plan, but definitely was in a very, very dark place. And I remember thinking 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even several hours later, I was doing something and I began to laugh, or something was great, or there was something beautiful, or somehow my state was changed to a completely different place. And for whatever reason, I was gifted with this thought that I would not have this moment. If I'd have taken that action towards suicide, I would not have this moment of glory, this moment of beauty, this moment that is true. I would not have that. I would have missed out on that. Because I stopped believing in that moment that I was whole and complete. See, here's what I want you to know. In the other moments, and you know you've had this, in the quiet moments, you've had the experience where you feel like there's greatness within you. Even the most humble of us, even the most downtrodden of us, know that there's something greater within us. That there is this deep greatness that sits and waits and sleeps dormantly within us. But it is always there. That greatness is always within you. It's never gone away. It's always, always there. And it waits within you. But the problem is, with all the conditioning and the social environment and all those kinds of things, things happen and we start to feel broken. We start to feel like somehow we're something missing, we're broken and we need to be fixed. But I want you to know you're not broken. And by the way, even if you were, let's just go to that for a minute. Let's say you were broken. Let's take it literally for a moment. Because as many of you know, I was pretty broken. I fell off a mountain, got smashed up. So physically quite broken. But here's what I want to put to you, is this. For a moment, what I want you to consider is this. For those of you who have a background in metalwork, or maybe you did it at high school, or maybe you actually did it in a career at some point in time, you might have learned welding. And in welding, what you do is you take two pieces of metal and you weld them together with heat. Okay? Now here's the question I have for you. Is that the weakest point in the metal? Because now you've got two very strong pieces of metal and you've got this place where they join. Is that the strongest or the weakest point? The fact of the matter is, it's now the strongest point. When people say the weld broke, it's actually not, very rarely the weld itself that broke. It's the metal at the edge of that. Now, let me put that to you in another context. Think about this. An arm, right? Imagine you break your arm. Now imagine that you break your arm, you go to the hospital, they do the x-rays, you look at the x-rays, and you can see there's a fracture in there where the bone is broken. Now they do what it takes to mend the bone, to allow it to heal. And we go back and we x-ray you again 6-12 months later in exactly that same spot that was broken. Do you know what's happened? The strongest part of that bone is now where the break was. So even if you were broken, the place you got broken has not made you weaker, it has made you stronger. And you might say, well, I've got 10,000 breaks. Some of them emotional, psychological, spiritual, as well as physical. I understand. We've all had them. We've all been thrown off the cliff of life, because I talked to you so many times about how I fell off a mountain, but that's just a literal fall. I know you've had falls. They've been emotional, they've been physical, they've been spiritual, they've been all mental, we've all been through the breaks. We've all experienced the breaks that tell us that we're broken and we're never going to be complete again. But each one of those breaks gives you the opportunity to come back stronger, not weaker. I want you to imagine a person who was born into a perfect life, where mom and dad loved them, and they had these siblings who were marvelous and wonderful, and the family was perfect in every possible way. Now, you know as well as I do, that family doesn't exist, although some people would like to tell you it does. It doesn't exist. But now, for a moment, I want you to imagine that that is the family. It's perfect in every way. You never want for anything, you never lack anything, you never lack love, you never lack anything physically, emotionally, at any possible level. What would that be like? Now you go, wow, that would be so amazing. Yeah, it would be amazing. I fully agree with you. It would be fantastic. Now I'm going to put you out in the world. You're that kid who's now grown up, and I put you out in the world. How are you going to do? You're going to get eaten alive, man. You're going to get in total overwhelm with the media, with the impressions of other people and how they feel about you. All those things are going to be happening. All of those things are going to be happening to you constantly. You're going to get bombarded, and you're going to end up feeling like there's something wrong with you, that you're somehow incomplete. But it's not true. It's not true. But if you've grown up in a perfect environment and you go out into the world, you're going to get just bombarded. It's going to be too much. Now, I know that you've been through tough stuff. I know that you've struggled in all kinds of ways. And what I want you to understand is those breaks, those things that made you feel like you couldn't get up and you weren't going to make it, those are the things that have made you strong. Because now when you go out into the world and they reject you, yeah, it hurts. But I tell you something, it doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as if you've never experienced any of that. That which broke you didn't make you broken. Ultimately, it made you stronger. That which broke you didn't finish you. It's the beginning. It's the start. How do I know? I'll tell you something. I want you to realize this because it's vitally important. You did not get your dreams by accident. That deep greatness within you that sits and waits, it's always been there. And it's the part that's quietly in the background, like that voice that told you were whole and complete, like that person who held you in the moment you were born. That little voice that is your hopes and your dreams never went away. You did not get your hopes and dreams by accident. They are your heart and your soul crying out for expression, for the experience of your wholeness to be brought to the world. And I know you forget that you're whole and complete. I've done it too. All the time. It happens. Yesterday, I had pack day. And during that pack day, I had a couple of conversations with people who are good friends and mentors to me. People I have just a ton of respect for. People who I look up and admire, and I was thinking at the end of one of those conversations, you know, I am just so blessed. Whatever I think is missing in my life, look at how complete it is in this conversation. How honoring this person is, how supportive they are. And again, I remember that magnificence, that beauty. But did it get in? Well, I had the second conversation. I was talking to another one of my friends, guy you've probably seen on here, Tony Grabmeyer, an amazing man, a dear, dear friend who's done amazing things. And Tony and I were chatting, and we're talking about when we first met. And he was telling me that, you know, he was supposed to be on the show, but he'd kind of mixed things up and was a little late and thought he was going to get his ass kicked by me because I've seem to have all my things organized or whatever it is with my show and etc. And he was going to be a guest on the show and he was going to be late. And I said, why would you feel like that? And he says, because we'd had this previous conversation. And he said something to me. I feel a little weird saying it. I do, honestly. And that's probably why initially when he said it, it hit the plexiglass and sort of bounced off. But it soaked in. And he said, when I met you, I felt like I was in the presence of greatness. Look, yeah, I'm getting choked right now, sorry. He said, I felt like I was in the presence of greatness. We all have shitty times. We all feel low. Even those people you look at and think you're in the presence of greatness. We all have that. But we also all need to remember that greatness is within us. It is the deep greatness. Not the surface greatness that you got from your accolades, your successes, your PhDs, or whatever it was, or even from all the pats on the back. But your deep greatness, that's always been there. That is your soul crying out for expression. If you really want to tap into that, if you really want to find your way into that deep, deep greatness, you will have to remember that you're already whole. You're already complete. It doesn't mean you're not working on yourself. It doesn't mean you're not still going to a therapist or a coach or a mentor or a guide or a consultant or whatever it is, or whoever is helping you. Of course it doesn't mean any of those things. None of us are there, but we're all pulling away the nonsense. We're stripping away all those layers of crap that got put on us so that we can remember that wholeness and that greatness. If you want to tap into that deep, deep greatness within you, I'm going to give you one simple way to do it. Start seeing it in others. You see, when we look at other people and we see the greatness in them, remember a couple of things. Number one, they might have forgotten it in themselves. And you go, no, come on, it's obvious. It's obvious that this person feels their own greatness. But you know, when Tony said that to me, I was not feeling my greatness. I wasn't in a shitty place, I wasn't in a bad place, but I wasn't feeling it until he said it. And when he said it, like I said, it hit the plexiglass. But 20 minutes later, I was like, oh my God. I actually had to send him a message and tell him how much I love and appreciate him and thanked him because he awakened something in me I'd forgotten. So one of the ways for you to tap into your greatness, that deep greatness within you, is to first of all see it in others. Remind them that it's right there inside of them. But on top of that is this. On top of that is this. You don't live in the world. You live in the mirror. The reason that Tony felt like he was in the presence of greatness is because whenever I speak to him, I know I'm in the presence of greatness. He's a great man with a massive heart, great wisdom, beautiful mind. It's simply a reflection. And if you can't give that to others, then you can't see it in yourself. So the way for you to tap into that deep greatness is to get out there and recognize and validate the deep greatness in others. That's our lesson for today. Dov Baron, Leadership Unscripted Show. I want to thank you for joining me on the show today. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And if you got a lot out of this, I would definitely ask you to share it with others. Make sure that you're helping other people find their deep greatness, because we all need that. We all need to remember that in spite of the media and the social conditioning that we're all given. If you found this valuable, of course, give it the thumbs up, give it the emoticons, and please share the show with everyone you know. And remember, if you want to find out about my new e-course, you can find it right here on Facebook. There's if you go to Dov Baron Leadership, Full Monty Leadership, go over there and you'll find the course there. Or you can simply put in the comments right here, you can put the word course and we'll send you a $50 coupon. We'll give you $50 off. So I'm not going to go on and say anything else. I just want to thank you for being on today. I just see that Steve just put a comment here while we're live. He says, thank you, cheers. Thank you, Steve. I really do hope that you will share this with others as soon as we post it. And because I think we all need to remember that deep greatness within all of us. Till next time, this is Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com, saying, stay curious, my friend. Stay curious about the deep greatness that lays dormant within you. You can see it by seeing it in others. Till next time, this is Dov Baron. I'm out.